Hello, welcome to the channel. With the release of Ratchet Clank Rift Apart, the question arises of whether we can play the previous games that were stuck on older consoles. The RPCS3, being a well-established emulator in development for some time, allows us to play games from start to finish without any issues and even with texture pack improvements. But what about the games that were stuck on the PlayStation 3? Currently, all the games are listed as in-game status, but we know that the RPCS3 team only considers games playable when they are almost 100% optimized. So, let's do a practical test using my setup, and we'll discuss which games are worth playing at this moment and which still have issues, requiring you to wait for a more advanced stage of emulator development. But before that, if you enjoy emulators and want to stay updated with all the latest news, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to get all the latest updates firsthand.
This video is offered by the members and Patreons of the channel. Thank you for your support.
First of all, I'm not here to judge whether each game is good or not, but I'll provide the Metacritic scores for those who are interested. I won't delve into the storylines of the games, just their general emulation aspects. I played each game for at least half an hour, some ran very well, while others had frequent crashes when compiling shaders. The native PlayStation 2 games are also available to be played on RPCS3, but due to their low performance, I recommend using PCSX2 instead. Another advantage of PCSX2 is the possibility of using texture packs, which significantly improves the experience. Before we start, it's important to clarify that I used all games with unlocked FPS and played each one for at least half an hour to get an idea of the emulation stage. Additionally, all games were run at 1080p resolution. Let's start with Ratchet Clank Future Tools of Destruction, which was the first in the franchise to be released for the PlayStation 3 and boasts a Metacritic score of 89. Despite being an early game on the console, it features beautiful graphics and highly refined gameplay. As for its emulation status, the game runs very well, with frame rates above 60 most of the time. In numerous tests conducted with this game, I have never witnessed any crashes, and the performance is very good, with no CPU bottlenecks at any point. Ratchet Clank Future Quest for Booty has a Metacritic score of 76. It's another game that performs very well, but here we'll encounter an issue that I noticed occurs in virtually all games of this franchise on RPCS3. When looking at the water, we see some strange effects, as if it's a noise. I checked the gameplay directly from the original hardware and found that it's actually a type of mist present originally, but in the emulator, it still has this problem. The game doesn't crash and has a very good average FPS, with rare points of slowdown. Ratchet Clank Future A Crack in Time also has an excellent rating on Metacritic, with a score of 87 out of 100. However, we encounter serious emulation problems here. The game's graphical quality is superb, and it's the one I want to play the most from this list, but it suffers from random crashes when compiling various shaders simultaneously. I played a total of 3.5 hours on the emulator, and the game only registered 1 hour of gameplay due to the numerous crashes, causing me to lose progress and sometimes having to start certain stages all over again. The water issues mentioned earlier are still present, so if you plan to play A Crack in Time, be prepared to lose progress and revisit areas you've already passed before. In terms of performance, the game runs perfectly with an average of over 100 FPS, without CPU bottlenecks, but if you intend to play at 1080p, you'll need a GPU with at least 6 GB of VRAM. Ratchet Clank All For One, despite being the fourth game in the series on PlayStation 3, exhibits a significant visual downgrade and received a Metacritic rating of 70 out of 100. Unlike the previously mentioned games, which focus on single-player campaigns, this game is centered around multiplayer for up to 4 players. However, on the emulator, it is not compatible with the RPCSN network, requiring a custom server to run online matches. As for performance, it's not the best, causing CPU bottlenecks. And a powerful processor is needed to maintain 60 FPS. Even then, in some areas, the performance drops significantly, reaching about 16 FPS. The reflection and rendering of water are also challenging to reproduce correctly. On the bright side, the game doesn't suffer from random crashes. Ratchet Clank Full Frontal Assault, known as Q-Force in the European region, is another attempt by Sony to create something more focused on multiplayer. This game features many tower defense mechanics and has the lowest Metacritic rating on this list, with 64 out of 100. Here, too, we encounter problems with random crashes when compiling consecutive shaders, water rendering issues, and some areas suffer from slowdowns. In my opinion, the game is in a playable state if you can cope with the FPS issues. After compiling the first shaders, there are practically no more crashes, except when loading a new stage you've never visited before. RPCS3 does not support online gameplay, but there are alternative servers for online play. Ratchet Clank Into the Nexus is another game that received a score of 76 on Metacritic. Here, Insomniac returned to a single-player campaign focus, with no main emphasis on multiplayer. The game's performance is reasonable, not reaching extremely high FPS rates, but it also doesn't suffer from significant slowdowns. Like some other games on this list, Into the Nexus also experiences crashes when compiling many shaders at once. However, it's more likely to crash when entering a new stage, but during gameplay, it did not crash after the initial shaders were compiled, so I didn't lose any progress. Despite some minor issues, it's playable if you have a bit of patience. During the captured gameplay, there were no CPU bottlenecks. And that concludes our analysis video of the Ratchet Clank series available on RPCS3. If you encounter any issues with the configuration of these games, you can check the required settings directly on RPCS3. If this video was helpful to you, don't forget to click the like button to help promote our content on the platform. Until the next video.